Alright, welcome to the recap. So, I'm gonna go over my bias real quick. Pretty much coming into the day, I was pretty 50-50. But if you look at the daily, we pretty much ripped up yesterday and a bit overnight. And I expected NQ to take this daily high right here since we were pretty close to that. And then I expected NQ to pretty much trade higher into this little 4-hour gap right here. And just sweep out these highs here. I mean, if you look at the 4-hour, it's just super bullish. It looks like pretty obvious that we would sweep this. And then ES was a little bit weaker. NQ was a stronger asset, so I expected that ES might hold his daily rejection block after sweeping these highs. And then if you look at the 4-hour here, we did make this 4-hour rejection block out of this daily rejection block. So I was originally like pretty bullish. It's hard to short this move, but at the same time, I wanted to see maybe an SMT get made with this high and then look for some short because we have all these unfilled gaps, this big 4-hour gap. And on top of that, we still had this daily candle down here with no wick. So I wasn't convinced that this weekly candle was gonna like completely flip bullish and that this was just gonna be the bottom. I still want to see lower off this. I really want to see this get swept. But I just let open kind of play out because I wasn't super sure. You can also see that London pretty much traded lower and it was traded into this 1-hour gap we were holding, like midnight open. Not much manipulation below 1800, but then on ES we tapped 1800 and we're holding that, so it was kind of a hard read, not gonna lie. But what I saw is open traded higher, so this is open, and I was like, okay, we're gonna take this high, and then we make an SMT here. So ES was still holding this daily rejection block, and we had this SMT. So on ES it looked pretty good for shorts, but on NQ we just left this high, so I didn't really like that. But after this SMT, I was like, all right, we're probably gonna come sweep out all these lows here and these lows, and then I think there wasn't much gaps here. I don't know if there was a 4-hour here. There was this 4-hour. So yeah. But yeah, then after that SMT, I was pretty bearish, but I wanted to wait for 10 a.m. So um, all right. So at this point, we already hit this 4-hour gap, but I wasn't super sure about longs yet. I was still pretty bearish because we still had this big 4-hour and this SMT. With this SMT being here, there's like no way that I was about to long this. I didn't want to fade that SMT. And then I saw ES is holding this daily rejection block, so I pretty much just wanted to see 10 a.m. open higher and just short. Um, so 10 a.m. opens. Where does that open? Wait. All right, 10 a.m. opens right here. So I wanted to see a 5-minute or 3-minute rejection block to enter and then just catch the first 15-minute candle. So we don't really make a 3-minute, and we eventually make this 5-minute rejection block. And I limited this because I pretty much expected this wick to be the manipulation of the first 15-minute candle, and then for this 15-minute candle to just dump. But I didn't get an entry on this. So I kind of wanted to see, I thought maybe here we would retrace back up to here because 10 a.m. aligns with OTE nicely, but there was no entry on this. But it would have been like this, pretty much. I'll probably just target like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4. But that gave no entry, and we just kept dumping. I'm gonna put it on the 3-minute, so no entry here. And then at 10:15, what I would have wanted to see is for this 15-minute candle to manipulate more into this 4-hour gap and this 4-hour range, and then take a long, maybe, if we hit this. But we didn't get that. But I wanted to see 10:15 open lower and then form a rejection block. But we just held this 1-hour range. And I didn't really like longs here because there wasn't really anything here to long off of. There was no 1-hour gaps. There was no 30-minute gaps. The only thing really was this order block. And yeah, I wasn't super confident in longs here, but on ES actually looks a lot better because we have this 1-hour gap right here. And then we're holding the 1-hour range. But yeah, to really long this, I would have wanted to see like a gap get hit on NQ, and I would have wanted to long NQ because it was stronger. Is up a little bit more on the day. So yeah, but on ES we actually get this 3-minute rejection block. So 10:15 opens, and we get this nice 3-minute rejection block on ES. That's off of this 1-hour gap fill and the 1-hour OTE. So if I was looking at ES, this actually looks really good. And then we do get like this 3-minute closes bearish, but then we do get this 3-minute, but I just didn't want to take that. And then there is a 5-minute, but doesn't get tapped into. So I pretty much expected this first entry here as the first little manipulation of just the 15-minute candle. And then you can see this 15-minute candle pretty much trades lower. And then I expected the flip here. So I expected this as the manipulation for the 1-hour candle. So if I were to take a long here, I'd pretty much just be targeting 10 a.m., expecting the 1-hour candle to flip. So actually on ES it looks really good. We also get this 5-minute. So maybe I'm going to trade ES because this looks clean here. But yeah, so after that, I considered still shorting because we did still have this 4-hour gap that I wanted to see, but I wasn't super sure because we were reacting out of this 1-hour gap on ES, and I expected this 1-hour candle to flip, but it actually didn't. It's actually still holding, so yeah. I did look for like maybe a 5-minute, like this 5-minute rejection block out of this 5-minute gap, but I wasn't super confident in that because we already hit this 1-hour on ES and gave this entry back up to 10 a.m. Where's 10 a.m.? Like here. So yeah. So yeah, the 1-hour candle did flip on ES, which makes sense. So that's how I viewed 10 a.m. Hopefully that makes sense. It was pretty clean, like it was a pretty good day, just no entry. But this first entry off of 10 a.m. would have been really nice. I guess the only way you could enter this again would be if you took this 1 minute on ES. But yeah, it's kind of weird that we leave this, like, I don't know, we leave this high and we leave this candle with no wick. So I think we're still gonna be in this range for now, but we'll see. All right, see you in the next one.